Okay. So Joe's just coming in. Okay. I'll keep an eye on the waiting room, but lovely to see everyone. Thank you for coming. Is anyone absolutely new? Could you put your hand up if you're absolutely new? We've never heard from you before. I think most people are known to us. Is that right?
I think I see a few new names, but
Okay.
it might just be because Jeff is called user PC.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, if
If you've,
yeah.
yeah, you haven't
Okay.
just got a new name, if you're actually a real.
Yeah, no, that's good that we check. Let me just get Holland in 1 minute. Okay, so lovely to see everyone. Warm welcome. I hope you had a good, it seems miles away now, but Christmas, New Year, and all that kind of stuff. And you're ready for new and energetic tree action for 2026, where our government's going to start appreciating and protecting mature trees everywhere, we hope. Um, but yeah, so yeah, most of you know me, I'm Gio Yotzi with Ali. We set up the Canopy group with our lovely committee members as well, Christine, who's here, and John, and is Vasily here?
I haven't seen him.
Okay, right. Okay, we probably all know that. Okay, so what we'll do, we don't have a sort of speaker tonight, and do let me know actually. We may not have a speaker every time because it's quite a lot of work to try and get someone in, but if you do have someone you think would be particularly useful, an expert or just really good for campaigning, or anyone at all that, just for kind of knowledge building or anything at all, if you know someone, a professional ideally, who would be good to come and just talk for like 15, 20 minutes and just answer some questions, anyone at all, do put your suggestions in to us at the Canopy email. I know that there's a lawyer that was quite interested in getting in Katie from the Happy Man Tree from Chester campaign in Southend, isn't it? She said her lawyer is very good, and I can't remember her name, but she's supposed to.
Lawrence knows the lawyer.
Lawrence knows her. Yes, Lawrence as well. So your lawyer, Katie said that she might be interested in coming to speak to us. So our next meeting obviously is going to be on the 2nd or 3rd of March, depending on the right date. So yeah, do think about that. If anyone, oh, more people coming in. Right, okay.
I
So
am here, by the way. I'm just getting in from work, so
okay, no worries, no
catch up with
worries.
you in a sec.
That's fine. So yes, so and at some point we might give a little update on what we discussed we had a little committee meeting a couple of weeks ago as well. But we're going to be doing updates and I think so we're suggesting Carrie first, is that right?
Yeah, so there's a few people that said they'd like to speak, but they can't necessarily stay for the whole time. So sort of prioritizing those people first. I guess if
Sure.
anyone has any advice or questions, maybe just pop your hand up and then
I
Gia.
can see. Yeah, Jeff, you've got your hand up.
Yes, I've been working rather flat out for the last few days on Brockwell Park to raise an objection to protection against major events,
All right.
which is something we haven't really looked at.
Yeah.
The damaging effect of major events, thousands of people in parks.
Yes. Yeah. Well, maybe you could, because that's a really important campaign for legal reasons as well.
Oh, yes,
So,
because
yeah.
I've really got my act together about the damaging effects of compaction
Yeah.
Oh
and
wow, that sounds really
exclusions.
interesting.
It's really very useful to have
Yeah.
got this. I mean, you know what it's like. You get a big sheet of papers which I've got to go through, which is very tedious online.
Yeah.
But I've now got I've got my act together there to object to what they're
This,
doing. So
this is,
it's
yeah.
worth knowing if you've got a
Yes.
major event in a park.
Well,
Brockwell Park is a big park in South London and near
yeah.
Brixton.
Yeah.
Events with thousands of people.
Yeah, but they've done pretty well with their legal. Do you want to just quickly, because they did the JR on it and they won, didn't they? But then the council have been trying to wriggle out of it. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. Basically, despite their protection measures, trees are being damaged.
Yeah.
And also don't realise that the effects of damage are cumulative. There's a lot of damage you can't see because of
Yeah.
compaction. So
Uh,
I've really got the case in order about
So
compaction.
if you
So if
could share
anybody
a
else,
summary. if you could share a summary with us at some point, and we could share with the Canopy group, it'd be
Yes,
amazing.
I can't do that until they've okayed it.
Okay.
Their solicitors have okayed it. But I think it would be very useful for this group to have
Well,
this
absolutely.
sort of stuff.
Yeah, and also for Finsbury Park near us, which is our key, which is our, our flagship, supposedly our flagship park in Haringey.
And they're making a mess in
There's a
Kipling.
compaction issue, massive compaction issue with
I think
the
it's one of those things that people don't really understand at all, do they? And it'd be really good to do some.
Yeah.
No, well, I've gone into a full breakdown of this.
Brilliant.
Which is very it's going to be very useful if you want to use it for Finsbury Park.
Fantastic, yeah. And there's where you see excellent practice take photographs. Like I was walking on Highbury Fields the other day with a friend, and they're doing excellent mulching around the drip line of all the trees, and they're really looking after those plane trees. So if you wanted an example of good practice, Jeff, like you could get go there and take some photos. In fact,
so where's that?
At Highbury Fields, they're really looking after the plane trees in Highbury Fields. Islington Council do it very well. So it's always good to have examples of good practice that you can show your legal team where it's all,
You've just raised another issue. Always photograph things. Always get visual documentation. Whatever you do.
Or a video, even better. Yeah, no, brilliant.
Okay.
Okay, thanks so much. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
That's my bit.
Yeah, okay, lovely. Carrie, oh, sorry, Rena, do you want to put,
I wanted to say apologies for the name change. It was using someone else's machine, or I didn't realize it came up. I have been here before. I'm part of the Wivenhoe Oak, so if you want to have some sort of update, let me know.
Oh, great. That would be good, because Kat sent me a thing, but it'd be much nicer coming from you.
I don't know. Kat is the expert on this. We can hear what she says.
Hang on until we've got through the people that have to dash off. Great, thank you.
I was also gonna, if it's okay with people, because I'm recovering from surgery and I get tired, we may have a break at 7:30 for like 10 minutes. Is that okay? Just to have a bit of a breather. I hope that's all right, because 2 hours is pretty intense. So, okay. So we've got Rena from Wivenhoe, Marion Holland. I don't know if Tamara from Woodland Trust, do you have anything that you wanted to say? Yeah, as well? Or you're just going to listen? Yeah, you put your thumb up, so. Okay, and anyone else who would like to? Ali's got something very positive to say, which is fantastic. So rare in our world. And was there anyone else who wanted to give an update that wasn't on that list that I just read out? Or did anyone else want to feed anything else in? Marion, yeah, you're on the list.
Oh, right. I didn't know if you said a different.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I said so it'd be Rena, Carrie, or was Carrie Wivenhoe? No, Rena, Carrie, Marion, Holland, Tamara, and Ali. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. So let's kick off with Carrie.
Thanks, Gio. Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. Hi, Ali. Just before I launch, what's a good amount of time? Couple of minutes? 3 minutes? I don't want to inadvertently mob things for you.
I think it'd be all right. Just go.
Yeah, don't worry. Maybe past 5 minutes, I'd probably start. I don't know, really.
I'll keep it short.
I won't time it, but I'll try and, but don't worry. Thanks for asking.
Not at all. Well, look, thanks for the opportunity. This, for people that I haven't met for a little while, is all about the former Bristol Zoo site in Bristol. The zoo was closed just after COVID, and the Zoo Society brought forward a proposal to sell the site for housing development and went through planning for that. We have to go back almost 3 years for this, because the outline planning consent actually was April 2023. And what's happened since then has been a process of us getting ourselves together in the form of the Alliance, and launching a judicial review. And the key dates are planning in April 2023. It then took about a year for the council to do all the components of the Section 106 and to negotiate it. And that was really our opportunity to challenge the original planning permission, which, as you'll all know, we could only do on process, not on the merits of this pretty horrific scheme, which essentially is to build 196 flats and to flatten some of the most incredible biodiverse and unique natural environments that we have in the city in Bristol. So we got to a formal permission hearing where on 3 grounds of challenge we were allowed to proceed, and we challenged them on 2 technical grounds, which was their calculations on biodiversity net gain. It was actually a loss because they got it wrong. We challenged them on their carbon emission, and we also challenged them on a point of planning in that the gardens themselves were zoned as a very important open space in the local plan. And we argued that the reasons that the council gave for setting that aside weren't sufficient or lawful. We had the hearing in May last year. Ali came along to chair, which was brilliant. We also had amazing support from our experts at the Bristol Tree Forum. Big shout out to Mark and Vasily, one of Vasily's colleagues. And from May all the way through the summer, all the way through the autumn, we were waiting for the outcome. We finally got it at the beginning of December and we lost.
Oh,
which was
sorry.
a bit of a bugger, really. Technical planning term. So that was a significant disappointment, because really the grounds we were challenging the council on were so fundamental that if we'd succeeded, they couldn't have just, adjusted a window or put on a bit more solar power. It would have meant that the whole scheme had to go back to the drawing board. But we lost, and that's process, and it was a fair hearing, and the judge was excellent, and so we're not going to complain about that. So really, where we are now, the big clear message is it ain't over at all. It's not over. The legal challenge to the planning is a dead end, but we've got a series of really quite complicated Section 106 obligations around affordable housing and making the zoo site a source of free public access in perpetuity, plus some other environmental measures, which we are almost entirely sure will never, ever happen. Because for any developer, they're expensive inconveniences. And although the council and the zoo are in denial, as any fool know, a developer can apply to set aside a Section 106 after 5 years, and we believe that they will. The current state of play is that the zoo has, when it hasn't been blaming us for everything except the failure of world peace, the zoo has exchanged sale contracts with an outfit called Acorn Property Group, but they haven't yet completed. For various complicated reasons, they can't complete on the site until they get the gorillas off to the Wild Place, which is their new zoo development site out on the M5. They have to be able to offer vacant possession, and they're already 2 years overdue with building the new enclosures. So we don't quite know when the gorillas will move, but it might be sometime this year. So between now and that time, we have got an opportunity, which is what we're doing now, to finish our circling pattern of disappointment, but actually to regroup and focus. And I don't really want to say too much about what our grounds of challenge are, but a lot of it, a lot of research has happened into the proposed developer, their track record, their financial resilience, their ability to borrow money, and actually more importantly for the zoo, the ability for them ever to offer the 30 or 40 million quid that they've allegedly promised to the zoo to buy the site, because the zoo needs a big payday to build out the Wild Place and to continue with its conservation mission. So we are working very hard on Acorn. We're working very hard to get the council to realise that a Section 106 isn't just something that they can just kind of pretend is going to happen in the fullness of time, but actually needs money up front, and it needs commitment. And we have a number of other things up our sleeves. But that, in essence, is where we are. And I'd just like to say thank you again for all the enormous sort of support and positive vibes from this group, because we all know how bleak it is campaigning. And when it gets really, really bleak, it's great to know that there are people who are still fighting the good fight in other places. But we will crack on.
No, well done. Thank you so much, Carrie. What do you need in terms of extra support, or are you managing it as a group, or do you need, is there a petition, or is there anything that people can do to support or lend support to what you're doing?
That's really kind to you. We've kind of gone quiet on socials at the moment. Okay. We've gone quiet on Facebook. We've closed down our crowd justice page, largely because what we don't want to do is to kind of do a scattergunny thing.
Yeah.
What I think we will probably do, and it will happen within the next 3 or 4 weeks, is we will have a public statement of some form. How that gets communicated is still under discussion. But when we get to that stage, I would love to have the opportunity to just let you all know, so that if there's something that you can amplify, I mean, you're all massively busy, but if you can kind of amplify it in some way, that would be fantastic, because I think all of our aim is to make a local issue something that's nationally important.
Absolutely.
And I think I see that as an opportunity for all to help each other. And it may just be that if we can make, the appalling mess on this site a national news story, something may come of it. But if you don't mind just watching this space at the moment, that would be brilliant.
No, absolutely, that's brilliant. And all these examples are just micro examples of a macro kind, narrative that's happening time and time again, which unfortunately this government is rolling back on sort of, green protection. So it's a very salient case and a really important one. Is Alice good enough your lawyer? No. Who's your lawyer?
No, we use Lee Day, who are great actually, and because the zoo and the council was the defendant, the zoo was the interested party, because they just chucked money at it and they brought in silks and God knows what. We ended up with barristers and barristers and barristers. So fundraising was tricksy, but at least we managed to get a cap on our costs.
Yes, that's very important. And I think one session would be good to perhaps this year or the next few months to do something on the legality, the legal side of raising, like campaigning and taking a case. I think it would be really good to have like 4 or 5 examples of legal proceedings and things that are done. I think it would be really useful for other people who are going to be either, possibly entering into that kind of, and how scary it can feel as a group and what you can do to protect yourself, like make yourself a limited company, etc. And all those kind of tips. And I think that would be really useful to kind of, lead, with a couple of case studies. And so we'll think about that. Thanks so much.
Thank you all. I'm sorry I have to run, but actually to that, Gio, if you want any contributions, we learned a lot and we'd be very happy to share that. But
just before you go, Harry, sorry,
Holland,
have you got 1 minute quickly for a question? Harry? I'm from Bristol. I'm from Bristol originally as well. I know the zoo very well. I've been there since a small child, so it's super sad what's going on. Just a question around the biodiversity net gain. I'm going to do an update in a minute, but that's something we're going to have to challenge the environmental statement on biodiversity net gain. They're very complex, can be quite a complex area. Who did you use to do that, and how did you sort of do the calculations and challenge them on that?
We were supported throughout pro bono by the wonderful Mark Ashdown of Bristol Tree Forum.
He's amazing.
Yes, yeah, okay.
And
he was in touch with him.
He was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. I think I know him from the past, actually, somewhat, or I've heard of him.
What kind of professional is Mark Ashton?
Why is Vasily laughing?
Well, Mark knows more than anybody in the whole world about BNG, as far as I can tell. He's a former solicitor as well, so he's just got that brain,
Right.
Yeah.
You write a thesis.
He's very forensic.
Because I've been advised that we don't necessarily need a lawyer at this stage, but we need a consultant who understands biodiversity net gain and who can put the objections in, rather than knowing how to sit in court and be a barrister. So that sounds interesting.
It's highly technical stuff, and you need to be absolutely on top of all the various metrics that have been issued and how they need to be applied and why they do or do not work. But my suggestion would be you talk to Vasily and John separately and get an intro to Mark and see if he might help you.
Yeah, we can connect. If you get in touch with us, we can try and connect. We can sort of connect.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
I know he's retired, isn't he? So I don't know how much other work is. So with John and Vasily will know more. Marion, did you just have a question for Carrie?
Yes, I do. Yes, that's okay, Carrie.
Yeah,
sure.
I won't let you go, Carrie.
Can you hear me right?
That's okay. Don't worry. Hi, Marion.
I was listening to what you were saying about challenging them on the basis of the developer's potential financial viability as an entity.
Yeah.
I was interested in that because I've been sitting in on there's a massive Green Hill, it's a massive solar site they want to create between our town in Wellingborough and Northampton. And lots of us brought evidence. I brought a lot of evidence in relation to protecting trees and hedgerows across this 3,000-acre site. And but a gentleman brought a challenge in relation to the viability of the entity that's trying to create this whole scheme. And I'm wondering if you feel there's sort of mileage down that road, because he made some really good cases. He talked about, he'd investigated the company. He saw they'd got very little assets in their, you know, their financial portfolio and all the rest of it. There's hardly anything behind them. Yet they were planning this massive scheme, which is going to cost a fortune to even deliver. And I'm just wondering, is that a route where there might be mileage in terms of challenging schemes, you know, because it can be just ignored, you know, okay, they're not, do you see what I mean? I mean,
I do.
I help organisations go for grants, and they're always tested around their financial viability and ability to deliver. But it seems these big schemes and some of these planning developers, I'm wondering who is doing any due diligence on them.
I think it's a really important point. It's a very good question. There are a number of aspects of this. The first thing to say is that developers on site or people who are interested very rarely have the money themselves in the bank. They always have to raise it. And that requires them to have a certain amount of financial resilience and credibility. That's kind of point one. Point two, if you have a minute to Google Acorn Property Group at Saxon Vale in Frome, you see another aspect of this, which is where a local community got so pissed off about their attitude and their approach to developing a key site in the town that Acorn withdrew because they just realised they couldn't work with a local community. So that's another reason for raising issues about the standing, the way they behave, or probity about a company. And the third is actually with your planning authority, because we've got a couple of other sites in Bristol which are prime sites, which are effectively just white elephants, because the developer has fallen through. I'm thinking about the W.H. Smith site in Clifton, for those of you who know Bristol. The developer's fallen through. The council, you know, the site's been sold. The council can't do anything, but the councils are consistently getting it in the neck because the chosen developer wasn't able to follow through. And that's kind of another line of attack. So I definitely think it's worth having a look at the other side of the particular scheme and who the proposed developer is, and actually really trying to get to grips with whether or not they're ever going to follow through on the commitments. And that's not just raising the capital to buy the site, but it's all the Section 106 agreements that go with it.
Yeah,
maybe. I mean, I think this is a really interesting. Marion, you could connect to Carrie. Like,
yeah, delighted to help.
I mean, that would be really good. The Acorn, was that in Frome, the Acorn thing?
Yeah, it's called Saxon Vale.
Yeah, no, I've got friends who were involved with that art.
And there's a couple of others as well.
Yeah. So that's, so maybe, I mean, it's all about networking, this group as well. So like, if you, loads of people got expertise, experience in this group. So if you think you want to if you want to connect to someone, just get in touch with
Marion. I'll whiz you my email address.
Yeah, thank you.
That would be brilliant.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay. Anyone else have a question or kind of an observation or just anything else? But don't think so.
Thank you very much.
No worries. And good luck with it all. Loads of luck. Maybe get some green council. I don't know if green councillors would get behind the sort of. We've got local elections coming up as well. I'm running as a candidate, so for Greens. So Marion, I might be in touch with you myself. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I might be in touch with you about what it's like to be a ward councillor at some point. Marion, in fact, you're second on the list, so I come to you. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Maybe give us an update, like a short summary of what the situation is for those that don't know first, and then you probably were going to do that anyway. Yeah,
well, so I'm Marion Turner-Hawes. I'm from Wellingborough Walks Action Group and Wellingborough in Northamptonshire. We sort of came to national awareness nearly 3 years ago now. It's going to be in a few days. 3 years ago when a developer delivering a road as part of a massive development on the side of the town decided they want to fell 60 of our most protected but also much loved trees in our area along what should have been a protected avenue of trees. That, unfortunately, that case, when we did a lot of work, and I won't go through all that again, and we managed to get, and we went to the High Court, we got permission we won in the High Court, and we're still waiting. We're still waiting for the developer to come back with new proposals around the particular area where the trees are, but they've sort of disappeared, really. They're still there building the houses up on the hill, but their plans for the road have sort of kind of disappeared in the ether, and that's what I was interested in what Carrie was saying, particularly on the Section 106 delivery. But the situation now is that whilst we're waiting for all of that, a situation has arisen in the town to do with 4 mature trees on Harringey Road, which is one of the main roads in Wellingborough. We always pick in these main roads in Wellingborough. And this is an insurance case that we'd never been aware of that before. So we've, as friends from this group pointed out to us a few months ago, welcome to that baptism of fire, really. But we've been on the case since November. Although we are trying to keep focused on the walks action group and the walks, in Wellingborough, we thought it would be appropriate to look at this case in more detail. Basically, I did as a local councillor, because I thought people kept asking me what's going on, and then you get caught into things. So I just started asking the council, and the council didn't really know what they were doing again. And basically, we managed to stop the initial felling of the trees by pointing out, with help from this group, that they should be doing street tree consultation, which they weren't doing. So they stopped that. Then just before Christmas, they came back saying they were starting the proper street tree consultation. But it transpired that when they put all the information out, A, there wasn't much of it, and B, they weren't doing it properly. So we complained again, and we actually got a letter from Alice, who was on the call, I think, and now she's not here, from her solicitor's firm. They wrote to the council, that's Northants Council, on our behalf. And when we came back after Christmas, the council had written to say, yeah, we made a mistake, we're going to stop that again. So we stopped them again. And then the other day, we had an email saying that they're about to start the process again. So they started yesterday, and we've been checking all the information that we've been given, and it's looking much more promising in terms of them doing the processes properly. They are actually sharing some information this time for people to actually have a look at, to see what the case is and what's bringing that about. But it's only a small amount of what they've given to us. So we're planning to share everything that's been shared with us. I've been doing drafting a press release today, which I'm still doing, I think. And then we're going to see now, we're going to actually, the report that's been shared, the main part of it is a report, and the company, so those folks in Wivenhoe will probably be interested. The insurance company involved is Aviva.
Oh, what a surprise.
And they've had a very basic report done, which, I mean, I've never seen a report of this nature before, and I thought, you could drive sort of a train through it. There were so many, obvious emissions, etc. And also we had some emails shared between officers from the council and their agents, and they were to and fro and saying, what are they on about? This doesn't make any sense. Why are they talking about this? So we couldn't understand why the council even got to a point of making a decision to fail in the first place. So we're sort of researching that. But what we're planning to do is look for either a specialist, look for a specialist to help us, either someone that's expert in structural engineering, or people that are arboriculturalists or arborists. I don't really know the difference between the two, but someone that can give a bit more insight about the trees concerned and how they may be being in relation to the house that's very nearby. I have been given the name of a guy in our town, and I had a word with him yesterday, and he's a structural engineer. He's offered to look at the papers for us and the reports, and then give us a bit of feedback to do that for free, which is very good of him. But we're still looking out for an arboriculturalist to follow up with. It's a subsidence case. Sorry.
Yeah,
I've got to say that bit. It's a subsidence case. It's not just about insurance. It's subsidence. So,
as far as I understand, it's a sort of 80s style conservatory that's slightly. Is that right? Have I got that right?
What it is the house was built in 1969. There was an extension put on the side of the building closest to the hedge and the trees beyond the hedge. Which is a porch, I'm led to believe, and the foundations for that porch, even for 1971, are very narrow. They're only very shallow, rather. They're only 50 centimeters deep. And okay, thank you, Mark.
Yeah,
thank you, Mike.
They might. Yeah, Mike Ellison said he could, and so the trees presumably predate. They're mature, 100 years old, 120.
I mean, it is a bit of rule of thumb, and I'm no expert, but looking at the size of the trees that they were felling on the walks, they're around about similar girths. So
they're gorgeous trees as well. I mean,
beautiful, and and it's no wonder that a lot of people have been in touch with us asking, because they just can't imagine that section without those trees. And what's more concerning is there's plenty of other trees like this, even closer to housing on the same road. So it's quite worrying. So what we're doing is, so if there is anybody that could have a look, I'll take people's so about CAVAT assessment. I think someone's going to have to talk to me again about CAVAT, because is that the cost benefit analysis in relation to trees and how many trees if they fell? Because they're talking about if they fell them, they're going to put one each, plant one each in relation to them. These trees are absolutely beautiful.
So the CAVAT value will give you an idea of the amenity value of the trees, which obviously, from the council's point of view, they think they're going to be held liable for subsidence. That's their motivation for allowing the trees to be cut down. Are the trees protected, just to check?
No, they're not. Just to let you know, actually, they're not protected, but just to let you know, we had a change of council last May. We now have North Northampton Council is now controlled by Reform.
Oh dear.
No.
Yeah.
And but many of them have been much more positive about trying to help on this than we ever had experience before with the people that were not helping us in terms of the walks trees. So they actually got in touch. The head of highways, the executive member for highways, got in touch with myself and Lucy, our other director, a few weeks ago, invited us for an informal conversation. They let us know they were updating the tree management policy for the council, and they've put in there now that in cases like these, they I'm not sure. It's always about emphasis on words, isn't it? But they would be looking to have engineering solutions rather than tree felling.
That's really good if they're saying that. And also the structural engineer you've already spoken to is a really great place to start, because it sounds like the foundations are kind of inadequate. So,
Yeah, I would also say I've got a horrified future vision of working with Reform on trying to save trees, like racist fascists. Could I just say that
you speak to some of the councillors Green councillors in North Northampton, because that's exactly what they're having to do. And to go case by case.
Could I just ask? So you're working. So particularly, rather than the officers of the council, you're working with councillors who are helping you, not officers. You said someone from highways, because obviously councils have the paid administrators, officers, and then the councillors who, unfortunately, in Haringey's case, are pretty. They don't have much power or sway often. But you're saying that you're working with councillors who are helping, or officers.
Well, what's happening trying to work out what staff, council staff, are doing what within North Northampton Council is not easy.
Okay.
So I have liaised with council staff in highways. So street trees with NNC are highways responsibility.
Yeah.
I have liaised with them, but the ones we've spoken to, as much as they've been helpful, actually, they're not. I don't feel they're very informed about tree issue.
Yeah.
It's more about the highways part of it. But what we're basically, I work with anyone that's sort of positive and give us a chance to be heard.
I get it. You have to be strategic. I understand. Can I just say, Ali, what is the article that we're always talking about in the Insurance and Trees group that was removed that Linda always refers to?
Oh, was it Article 5?
I always forget the number. So there was an article in tree policy protection that was removed surreptitiously, was lobbied against and subtly removed, which used to protect councils against liability for trees. So if an insurer or a resident even was pushing to have a tree, it protected the council, as far as I understand, have I got this right, from liability. So the whole costs issue has been pushed onto councils because that article was removed. And this is something we're thinking about lobbying for strongly in terms of our more macro, larger, to get that reinstated to protect councils. So there's less, so that would protect councils more against claims against them for costs. I know, Colette, you've had your hand up for ages. Sorry, do you want to speak to this point or this issue? Colette, are you there?
Oh, yes, hello. Sorry, I didn't miss that you said my name. Hello. I just wanted to say to Marion about CAVAT that you mentioned. It stands for Capital Asset Value of Amenity Trees. It was set up by the London Tree Officers Association some decades ago to help mitigate the cost to the council of having to deal with trees. So it was designed with trying to protect the councils from too much outlay rather than trying to help trees. And they designed it all around how the tree looks. And I think it's very valid in 2026 to challenge any council who's still using CAVAT, because they all are, to say it's not an adequate tree valuation tool. And if they're trying to come up with a tree valuation based on CAVAT, it's absolutely challengeable because the figures it gives are far, far too low by an order of probably 100. And so whenever someone tells you, oh, the value of the tree is lower than the cost of underpinning and therefore we can remove the tree, no, you absolutely can't. But the trouble is providing the justification for that, because CAVAT hasn't yet been replaced, but it needs to be. But I would suggest have a look at if you can find a way to challenge the CAVAT values, and then make reference to the Dasgupta review, which was done on February 2021 by the Conservative government, which looked at the economics of biodiversity. That was the report. And this professor, Partha Dasgupta, he examined, obviously, all the economics of biodiversity, and he ended up concluding that we are valuing nature far too lowly, and we need to really increase the way we value nature. And this is coming from, someone who's very knowledgeable about the economics of it. So if you can reference back to that Dasgupta review from 2021, February, you'll have some basis to say to people, we're not valuing trees properly. That I intend to bring out a nationwide campaign. It's probably going to take about a year to do, to create a comprehensive tree valuation tool that properly values trees and then get it embedded in the legislation. But that's obviously a big task.
Yeah.
And we're not there yet. But I would say wherever we can, challenge any council using CAVAT valuations and saying it's simply not adequate. And therefore, under the law, if something's inadequate as a valuation, it's challengeable. That's all I'd say. Thank you, Gia.
I think that's a really excellent point. And because I think Chris Neelan came up with it, didn't he? Is that the name of the guy who came up with the CAVAT system? But it doesn't account for future value as well. It's not projected, as far as I understand.
It does, but you tell it how long you think the tree is going to last, essentially.
Right. Yeah.
It depends very much on it can change quite drastically depending on how long you think the tree is going to last. So if you want to downplay it and say, oh, it's not looking great, it's only going to last 20 years, then that'll not, really impact on the value.
Okay.
Even though the older a tree gets, and therefore correspondingly the less life it has left, it actually does far more benefit for our environment. So its value needs to go up. And I found that between 100 years old to 200 years old, a tree massively increases the amount of carbon it captures. So if we start cutting down 100-year-old trees and thinking we're replacing them with, 3-year-old saplings or whatever, we're losing that extra 100 years we would get out of that tree in terms of its increase in carbon capture. And what CAVAT does is it just values a tree based on how it looks. It doesn't take any account of the carbon it captures, none of the eco services, the water, the air filtration, the water absorption, heat absorption, none of that. It doesn't account for any, and it doesn't take any account, as a proper tree valuation tool should do, of the emotion we ascribe to it and its historical place as a heritage asset, of how, all the different generations that have become used to having that tree there. That needs to be somehow quantified financially, but it's definitely a factor. But CAVAT doesn't do any of that, none of that. So therefore, it's definitely challengeable. Thanks, Gio.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot.
I'll just say, Gio, in terms of the insurance thing, one of the things that they mentioned to us in our informal conversation was that, they said that I think North Northampton have got like 3.6 million trees, even though we've only got a canopy coverage of just over 10.5%, so it's quite low. So it's more like the large size of our county, really, or half of our county. But he was saying that the council is starting to have trouble getting insurance. Now, obviously, councils like this is a unitary council. They perform many functions, so there'll be many things that they're insured for. But I think he might have been referring more to the insurance in relation to the trees, because, I'm really new to this. So it only occurred to me when he said that when an insurance company is claiming off the council, then the council themselves will claim off their own insurance in order to cover the costs of the trees, which is why we thought that probably explains why they're doing a bit of a tick box process rather than taking much care and doing much due diligence in terms of protecting themselves against these claims. So this is just us sticking our head in it for the first time.
Yeah. I'm just aware of time because I know Holland has to go at 7. Shall we just, Rena and Val, should we let Holland, if Holland has to go at 7, should we let him go first? And then do you mind, we can pick up, and I won't forget, let me just write down, we'll keep your hands up, but Rena and Val, sorry, but I didn't realise you had to go at 7. So let's just park this one for a moment. We'll come back to it. And Holland, do you want to, do your update and what you need and what you want to say?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I'm Holland. I'm from the Save Our Trees campaign in Devon. And I've got an update for you guys. I'm just going to share my screen if that's okay. Yeah. So just a quick reminder of the land and the forest that we're protecting. So this is part of it here. Can you see my screen? Oh, hold on.
I might need to, yes.
There we go.
It's coming on.
Okay. Yeah, good. So you can see here the river on the right-hand side, and on the other side of the river is the clay processing works by the quarrying company that wants to basically dig out everything that you see here in this area. So this is the sort of country park area, and it's hard to get a sense of scale, but the rugby posts here over in the background give you an idea of the kind of scale of these trees, and the swans down here. So give you a sort of sense of scale of these trees here. This is called Leafy Pond here, and this would be the first part to go because they want to build an HGV bridge across here, straight through this here, and take all that out as part of phase 1. So the woods forest is looking absolutely incredible in the winter with no leaves. It's so we've got this kind of fishing lake area at the south end of the site, and then moving up, we've got a lot. It's all sort of deciduous broadleaf native forest, and so we've had some brilliant news. When I last spoke to you, we were flip-flopping around how to try and get a TPO on this site. We didn't know whether we should be going for the whole forest TPO or focusing on just this sort of big sector to begin with, and sort of separating it out. Some angelic councillor in Teambridge Council put in a TPO, a forest TPO on the whole thing without us knowing, and we still don't know who it was. But we've then led a campaign to write in support. So we had 170 people writing letters, families, children, all the reasons that they believe this forest should be kept. So they took all of that on board, and I'm pleased to say that Teambridge District Council have unanimously voted to support the TPO and on this entire forest across the whole area around here. So it's a huge success. Obviously, a huge step in the campaign, but it doesn't completely protect the site, as we know. but it's a really, really positive step for us. And obviously, yeah, it was quite. Last time I spoke to you, I just did not know how to begin that whole process. I was like, but yeah, it's we just found out last week that's
fantastic.
Signed off.
It sounds like the direction of travel will be a lot of council opposition to this as well, right? I mean, that's the sound of it.
Yes, exactly that. So we're luckily the town council also voted in support of the TPO before the district council who managed the TPOs voted in favour. One of the Conservative councillors on the town council is the Sibelco, the quarrying company. He's the Sibelco liaison, and he voted against the TPO, which which now the now Teambridge District Council have all voted unanimously in favour. He looks like a real arse.
Yeah.
And so we've very publicly sort of shamed him on our blog and Facebook about and demanded that the Sibelco liaison position be moved to someone else, because he's been doing it for decades. And so obviously the suggestion is, he couldn't give any reason why he would vote against the TPO. We asked him in public sessions and he couldn't give any reasons. So I just wanted to read a few notes from the tree officer's report, and because he said, from my life in the industry and growing up in a woodland myself, this is the best example of a naturally self-seeded woodland I've ever seen. He said the woodland was not planted or designed. It developed naturally following the abandonment of the clay works and it's been left largely untouched for over a century. And woodlands of this type are increasingly rare. And confirming TPO would protect an established and irreplaceable woodland resource shaped by time and natural process, which is quite amazing. Nobody's walked in these woods at all for over about 100 years, more than 100 years, since 1880. And so it's sort of completely self-seeded, and there's this. You can't get through it because of the understory and the sort of different layers of it. And he said there's a developed canopy, understory, shrub layer, ground flora, and ongoing regeneration. This level of structural biodiversity only develops where woodland has been present for a long time without intensive management. So we've got the council, on our side. For the district council, the town council did vote in favour by one vote. Luckily, the rest of the council saw sense and voted in favour. So when the planning permission comes, we would expect letters of objection, I suppose, from the town and the district councils. But it is Devon County Council that hears this, because it's a minerals case, and mineral permissions is what's been vaunted by our MP and by other councillors. Oh, it will become a quarry again. There's nothing we can do to stop this. Mineral rights. So I've been digging into this really, really deeply, and I've managed to find the original mineral rights documents from the 60s, and also found the review, which, because Teambridge District Council were quoting the mineral rights documents that exist from 1999, so I managed to find the document with mineral rights with the maps, and there's I've managed to digitize it, get it converted into text, because it's sort of hand scanned, and we've managed to find some really strong reasons that actually they never really have got actual proper permission on this. They want to do this for 50 years, and the current review of mineral permissions doesn't expires well before that. So there's like we found some real gold for our campaign in there.
Yeah. Can I ask, Collins, is it publicly accessible? I can't remember whether people can they walk through parts of this area, or is it?
No. So
Right.
all of this is completely not non-public. These are the quarry roads here,
Right.
and
Okay.
this area is publicly accessible for the fishing community. So fishing lakes, there's what Teambridge are calling a country park, and when you look at it, it's actually quite amazing.
Yeah, and have you would you be able to get in? I guess, who owns the land? The council, or the
No,
quarry?
the quarrying company owns all of
Right.
it. They own everything around here.
Right.
But yeah, on the other side of the river, you can see the sort of contrast what they want to do, and basically what's happened is it's completely flooded on the other side. This is a quarry on the other side. It's completely flooded. It's overflowed. It's destroyed all the footpaths. So this is another part of our campaign is just sort of saying, this is what, the contrast. This is industrial waste effectively because it's flooded and this is full of clay which can't be put into the river. But that's the slight aside, really. And so we're sort of hammering all these different angles. If you follow us on Facebook, you've seen dust angles. We're going for that heavily. We're going for the flooding angle. They can't control the existing quarries. It's overspilling. How can they be expected to not increase flooding for the whole lifetime of this by cutting down this forest? So that's where we're at now, and we're just sort of now waiting for the environmental statement to come in. And I'm looking for a consultant for BNG. Somebody mentioned Mark Ashdown earlier on. That could be an interesting conversation. So yeah, I'm so the sort of I've been given some advice that we potentially don't need a barrister or a solicitor to do that, to object to the environmental statement to the BNG, but we do need a very strong biodiversity net gain consultant to do that part of it. So I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that.
Ali, do you want to come in, and then Vasily?
Yeah, I just want to say well done, Holland. Amazing. Really great news about the TPO, and also really exciting to hear about the mineral rights thing, because it's a big question mark, wasn't it? I was going to ask you a question, but I would definitely, if you can, do a crowdfunder and can afford to get legal help. It really, really does help, in my experience. And even if it's you're using your BNG information from an expert, and then the lawyers put it into scary lawyer language, which helps significantly in my experience. But my question was, how have you got any further with the health impacts? Because I know that was a biggie when we're at the town meeting. That's a big question mark for the residents, because they're so close, aren't they? Have you been working on that angle?
Yeah. So it's turns out that the dust from the quarry clay contains something called silica, which is respirable crystalline silica. It's a known carcinogenic to humans, and it is been sort of dubbed the new asbestos in a lot of large organisations. So we're really playing that card, that. So that there's that dust angle is a big angle, and we're kind of working on. We got footage of the existing quarries basically polluting the streets, kicking up dust right by a school, and this is carcinogenic dust. And yes, it's stone dust and sand dust. All has this. If you breathe enough of it, it gives you COPD, silicosis, and onto cancer. So while it is it is still dust, it is officially by the government HSE documents a carcinogenic and has to be controlled. So we're sort of putting as much pressure as we can on the existing infrastructure, so that when it comes to the application, we can say, look, you can't even control the existing ones. Where's the justification for creating another 50-year plan?
Exactly.
For those who,
Devon County Council have got a director of public health. Have you spoken to them?
I haven't yet. I'm still sort of chasing. It's been 2 months since we made our formal complaints about the dust, and we stood up in the council and sort of made made a representation there as well.
Because I to them, and if they, if a planning application goes in, they should comment on it, really. And I think if you can sort of prime, and if they don't do anything, you can make a complaint about them and say, I don't think they're doing their job properly. If we've done that, wouldn't. Complaints in Plymouth never go anywhere. They never uphold anything, but it does rattle them a bit, and it might help. You never know. You just got to keep trying everything, haven't you, really?
So David Warburton, Alison said, is Sutton's ecology officer. Also, I'm thinking about schools in the area, whether that could be, definitely with school children, health and safety. Have you done a letter before action? Are you not at that stage yet legally? Do you have someone lined up in case you have to mount some kind of legal challenge, or?
Not yet. I mean,
No.
we've only got limited funds. You know, we've raised about 8K so far. We've spent about 1,600 on advertising and printing and Facebook ads and to grow the following. So we've got around 6.5K, but we really need to sort of hold on to that for when we really do need lawyers. So yeah, that's where we're at. We're trying to do further fundraising.
You'll find that when the shit hits the fan, then people will give you money. It's when there's not a lot going on, it is really, really hard to fundraise, especially for sort of like just costs, like you said. But when it gets real, then you'll find that people will probably put their hands in their pockets.
Yeah. Rena, is that your legacy hand, the old hand, or have you put up a new hand? And then Kit, I know you've got your hand up as well. Rena? Oh, Vasily, I missed out Vasily.
It was the old one.
Okay, Vasily, do you want to go? And then
well, just very briefly, Mark is the person to help you with biodiversity net gain, and we can give you his contact details later. And I presume you're aware of all the silica issues in reconstituted stone work surfaces in people's kitchens, which is, killing off people at quite a rapid rate. And so there is awareness of the dangers of silica, which maybe there wasn't 5 years ago.
Yeah. Yes, there is. There's a lot of publicity and press about it. It's hard to get the media to bite on it when they're all interested in flooding at this time of year. So we're sort of going with the flooding angle. We're putting out press releases, but nobody's interested in the dust really at all so far. I guess for me, question, Ali, around that, do we need to spend money on solicitors before submitting our objection to the environmental statement? Because we can draft up pretty good objections using ChatGPT or the information we've got, and potentially with a BNG consultant. What would you see as the benefits of having a solicitor at that stage?
Oh, well, I mean, in our case, luckily we'd spoken to the solicitor, and we'd together between us, we'd sort of written the pre-app letter, and then, as you know, it all happened quite suddenly in the middle of the night, and it was only because we had that conversation, we had that stuff ready, that we could get an injunction at really short notice. I think with yours, luckily, you've got the planning process to go through. So, yeah, it is different. But I don't know. If you can afford to, I would say do it. But if you can't, then maybe hang off.
Yeah. So it's really just to get them to draft the objection letters in a way that is legally worded.
Yeah, they're just really good at coming up with things that you haven't thought of.
Yeah, pre-action. They're sort of called pre-action. I'm just going to bring in Kit, then I'm going to bring in Paul. Kit, do you want to?
Yeah, just really quickly. It might have been that I wasn't listening. I'm really sorry. But how did you hear about the silica? Like, do you have any kind of report about silica dust in the area? Sorry.
Well, we released I actually videoed a Sibelco truck that the clay had been spread all across the road in a really dry period, and so I videoed it picking up plumes of dust and realised this is carcinogenic dust, and wow, we can really play on this. And
it's serious stuff. So, and also the employees who are working there, like the employer has a legal obligation to protect them, and so does the council have a legal obligation to protect people who might be exposed. I'm not sure how you would get the official, there is silica dust here, there is an obligation to protect people.
This is the next step. The next step is monitoring, and we're pushing for monitoring. And that junction where we took the video, if they had monitors on those safe crossings, there would be extremely high in silica all day long. And so we're pushing for monitoring. Once we've got monitoring and proof that there is exposure, then a friendly Devon councillor that I can't publicise, his comments or include him because he's from some extreme far right party he got kicked out of the Reform Party.
Oh my God.
And now he's moved to something called Advanced UK. So I can't comment. I can't include him in anything. But
oh my God.
But he's currently leading an asbestos case, and apparently we can actually prosecute them without anyone actually being ill. So we can actually take them to court and say, because of the leak, and
they
then
have a
they have to
legal
pay
responsibility to do mitigation and stuff, which clearly they aren't doing. So yeah.
Or also they'll have to put a bond down so if anyone gets ill in the next 40 years. So it's like it could make things really difficult for them. So we're really hopeful for that. But
that's another brilliant angle. I'm just going to bring in Paul, who's actually a barrister himself, just here. Hi, Paul.
Hi. And sorry I'm late. For some reason I thought the meeting started at 7 rather than 6.
That's okay.
So I was just checking my link, being like, "Oh, I'm 5 minutes early." Oh no, I'm not. I'm late. Hi. Just on that point about the solicitor's letter. Yeah, you don't want to spend loads on solicitors at this stage. Definitely, but I do think that people often put too much money into the litigation side and not into the kind of setting it up side of things. Because, for instance, as Ali said, there's definitely things that you probably will have missed in your objection, but also more importantly, the objection needs to be written in a way that can tee off any legal action later on well. So if you then have to JR the decision, if you haven't made the points that you need to make at this stage, then that can make the JR weaker. So obviously don't blow all your budget on it now. Definitely do as much of the work as you can as volunteers and with ChatGPT and whatever it is you need to do. So don't get them to write it, that'll be way too expensive, but do as much as you can, then find a friendly solicitor who's willing to work at a reasonable rate if you can, to check it over, suggest and think, is this, if the decision goes wrong, is this teed up in a way that will help any future JR? Definitely worth a bit of your money at this stage, I think.
Okay, no, that's great. I mean, so we can draft. It's really difficult without having the environmental statement. Obviously, once we've got that, we can pick it apart, and
exactly.
And with ChatGPT, it's going to be extremely helpful, of course, to do that.
And these processes often take a long time legally as well, so you have time to really build a. Rob, do you want to come in here?
Yeah, very quickly. We're doing a pollution watch in Corby, and we've used Earthwatch to do water sampling. Getting in touch with Earthwatch might be a course of action to go with. They did a lot of sampling gratis, but just sent it off. We did the largest water sampling test in the country ever. So Earthwatch are a good group to get in touch with. If you want to get in touch with me, I used to be on the council. That was a long time ago. But drop me an email and I'll put you in a link.
I know.
Thanks, Rob.
Holland, I know the CEO of Earthwatch. He lives in Devon, so probably
the water pollution is just disgusting. You know, it's covered even before this new pit, and it's already covering the whole river with stinking sulphurous yellow water. It covers virtually the whole river, and I've got the Environment Agency to come in and test it, and they said it's at the limits of what they're allowed to do. But then if it's already at the limits, they want to build another whole pit. And so all of these things, it's a bit overwhelming. There's so many things, so many plates to sort of spin.
I mean, I'm really shocked
all of it.
just on that level of water pollution. They haven't been like, but the Environment Agency has so little teeth or money anymore. It's terrible. Right. So
very quickly.
Yeah, there's lots of good stuff in the chat. Rob, do put your, if you don't mind, put your email in the chat.
I'll do that.
Thanks. Just quickly, I mean, I feel quite isolated here. There's not much support from any other sort of larger charities or groups. I've had some kind of conversations with people, but until there's a planning application, it's hard to sort of get people on board. So are there other charities that might be able to help with legal fees and things? And can anyone recommend people I should be talking to? Obviously, we talked to the Woodland Trust. They said until there's an environmental statement, they can't really help. So is there anyone else I should be starting conversations with?
Anyone want to feed in here? Colette, you've had your hand up. Is that is this a direct point to Rob's Holland's plea, or something else you wanted to feed in?
Yeah, kind of like. So firstly, I wanted to say what you mentioned about ChatGPT. I found it to be very helpful to some degree in terms of bringing up information in terms of that I wouldn't have found on my own, but it definitely makes some errors. Like, for example, if Paul's still on the chat, Paul Powsland represented my sister and myself against a court case against Southwark Council that they brought, and we were parties to the case. When I did a search using ChatGPT, it told me there was no court case against Southwark Council that had been won. And I'm like, we won, as Paul will testify. So it doesn't get that right. And then also, I've been doing a lot of work recently on a separate issue that's not to do with trees, to do with parking charges and the local council trying to raise general revenue from that. And while it brings up the statute reasonably well, it misses some subtleties. And now that I've done further investigation, I've seen the subtleties is missed. So please don't rely completely on ChatGPT. It won't be sufficient. And the other thing to say is, I'm sorry it's not ready yet, but I'm developing a website that will be launched hopefully this summer. And its primary mission is to raise funds to help tree campaign groups up and down the country take cases to court. And obviously Paul will be heavily involved in that, I'm sure. But so I'm sorry that the funds aren't available today, but in a few months' time they will be. But I'll keep you posted as soon as we can. And I'll be supporting it. Canopy is on the list to be supported as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. So. How many millions have you got, Colette? I hope you know a very rich billionaire who can help us. That'd be wonderful.
Put it this way, my main competitor is Uswitch, and their average annual turnover is between 140 to 100 to 140 million. So I'm anticipating that within 10 years I'll get to 30 million. So not as big as that, but they'll be. And I'm giving 68% of my money away to environmental, animal, and energy vulnerable people, charitable causes. Yeah, there should be a significant amount.
Fantastic. Well, keep us posted, Colette. We'd love to see you at some point as well. You'll love.
When I can come up, I will. But I'm trying to fight.
No, but I mean,
moment, but
on the screen as well. It's always nice to see a face, but you may not want to. I don't know. Okay, so there. You are. Lovely to see you. I don't know I've ever seen you before. Thank you.
I'm not
thanks, everyone.
I'm not happy with the look. So yeah.
No, it's
thank you, everyone. I've got to actually run off, so I've got to drop off my
Holland,
son.
that's brilliant.
But,
just let us know that you're connected. There's lots of really useful stuff in the chat going on, which I should be keeping an eye on, but I'm not. But we'll have it saved as a bit of text, and we'll send you've got lots of connections going on there, lots of helpful people.
Amazing.
Help. So you're doing an amazing job, and thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. And you. All right.
Okay.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
So Marion, you've got your hand up. I know Rena is waiting. We're going to have to go back to people. I also know Mike had his hand up for a while as well, and Val, and I'm aware of you all. Marion, do you just want to make a...
Yeah, well, I was going to say something in relation to Holland and his situation, but it's helpful for everybody. And then also, did you want to finish off the bit I was doing before?
Yes, yes.
So just the thing I wanted to say, really, he was asking about funding. I try and this when I get time, this is my day job, is helping different organisations get funding. And you touched on, I think you touched on at the beginning about how people can set up groups and potentially incorporate if that's what we want to do. But I found out not long ago that people can go to the National Lottery for an environmental awards for all. So the basic grant that you can go for with the lottery, whether you're a community group or a company limited by guarantee or a KIC or a CIO or whatever, the basic grant you can go for is an awards for all grant of up to £20,000. They've created an environmental one now, and they allow that to be used for organisations that are campaigning. You can't use the funding for legal costs, etc. The usual things that you can't use a grant for, but you could use it for campaigning, education, awareness, raising, various other things. I've been looking at that for our group because I can see potentially that's a way we might be going.
Yeah.
In order to keep going, because obviously for those of us having to do a lot of this work while we're trying to do a day job, it's not easy, is it? So, and I'd be happy to perhaps come and talk about that a bit in future, if helping people to think out how to create either
a
community group or a bit of a legal entity and why to do it, because we did that in order to protect us in relation to the trees in Wellingborough.
Did you have another point to make after the money point? That's really useful to know. So if people want to apply for that, I know certain groups can't apply for money. I think if you're a limited company,
you can but that's the point I could explain. There's different types of limited companies. So you can be a membership company, which is what we are, and it's not for profit, whereas other ones are limited by shares or for profit. So that's a different thing. But the other thing so I was just talking earlier about, just wanted to finish off the bit that we were doing, because I think some people have had ideas to share with us. We've been frantically writing down notes. about our case, the Howden Road trees case in Wellingborough. Was there anyone else that wanted to say any more on that? And then because I'm going to have to go as well.
Yeah, sure. Anyone else want to feed in on that case that wanted to speak?
I did.
Rena.
That's what I had my hand up for. Hello.
Rena, hello.
What I was gonna say to you, Marion, and I did put it in the chat, is that in Wivenhoe, we ended up writing a report. Your show of it report. It ended up being, I don't know, over 140 pages long. And in there is a whole lot of various different types of reports. So you might find it useful to look it up and find out what different reports give you. Because you were sounding like you don't know what you're wanting to be looking for. So that will give you an idea. We went for ground soil analysis. We went for arbiters. We just, it's such a wide variety, but it will give you at least a flavor for what you'd then be getting. And even like we've got one on about a caveat and the value of the tree and how much would have to be planted if we cut the tree down to compensate for it. So it'll just give you some ideas.
Thank you very much. Kat did try to send me an email, I think, at the beginning of the month, beginning of January, but I haven't been really able to follow back with her to say that I couldn't find that. So if you are speaking to her, I'd like to get in touch with her again to chase that up now. I've had a couple of months, so.
I think she shared it on the Insurers and Trees WhatsApp group, didn't she? The digital version of that.
The digital, it is online. The digital one is
it's really
online.
brilliant. It's really well written. It's fantastic.
Stop insurance.
Yeah, stop
the chop.
felling trees. Well, our group is stop. But I think, is it Kate, your colleague? Kat shared it on our group chat.
Yeah. I'm not so good on how to share things, I'm afraid, but and to grab it from one place and share it. But if somebody wants to give you my email address, then I can at least have a contact, and then if there's something that you haven't got from Kat, I can try and chase her up for it or get someone else to help me with it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So if you two connect, that would be brilliant. Thanks so much, Rena, so I'm getting slightly confused now, but Rena and Val. Rena, did you have another thing you wanted to say about Wivenhoe? An update?
Well, only if you would like an update. But you said somebody said that you'd got something from Kat, so you might want to just read what Kat said, and then I will.
Yeah, that was Ali. So I'm just going to go because I know Val has been waiting patiently for ages, and then Mike, has he gone? No, there you are. I know Mike also had his hand up, so I'll go to Val, Mike, then Ali, and then Tamara, if that's okay. Right, Val.
Okay, I've put quite a lot of stuff in the chat. So if you're interested in CAVAT and on our experience of CAVAT in Cambridge for the Friends of St. Matthew's Peace group, we found CAVAT to be a sort of double-edged sword. But if you're trying to fight to defend important trees, frankly, I think you'll use any weapon at your disposal, however inadequate or, however much better something else might be. And at one point, our council officers, our tree officers, were persuaded that they ought to CAVAT value 3 trees that were put under repeated threat from an insurance company. 4 times in 4 years, we defeated every single one of them. And they did a CAVAT assessment without providing any details, saying that these 325-year-old trees were worth about £200,000, which sounded low to us. So then we challenged it, and 2 years later they did another CAVAT assessment, which they put up in redacted form on the public portal, and it wasn't clear at all what the total value was. It wasn't until it went to committee that we heard anything resembling any information. But it was about double that. They came up with 550,000 the second time they did it. But we looked at the method that they'd used, and a CAVAT assessment is based on objective 2 criteria, some of which are objective: how big is the tree and how long is it going to live. Everything between the first and last factor is a matter of judgment to do with appearance and professional assessment of the quality of the tree. So it's more than just its appearance, it's about its quality. And we looked at the way the council officer had filled in the unredacted part of the forms, and it just smelled very bad. So although we're a community group that runs on vapors and bubblegum and spit, we had our first ever fundraising campaign to get the structural engineer who helped us win the 5th planning application. And there was a bit left over, and I got everyone's permission to reuse that to try to get a CAVIT assessment, and we did. And I've given the name of the organization that we used, and they came and CAVIT assessed the trees about 3 or 4 months after the council officer had. And lo and behold, the value was double what the council officer had said 3 months earlier. And the council was trying to, is the council trying to defend our trees or not? As soon as they saw that even the council officer's diminished, £550,000 value was more than the apparent cost of the supposedly required engineering works, which were not required, they started then trying to dismiss the importance of a CAVIT assessment. So they'll argue it both ways. But as far as we're concerned, these trees are our $1 million babies. And we're going to be...
Just to add as well, even with the lower CAVIT assessment, it was still more than the underpinning work would have been. So it's worth doing the CAVIT assessment, if they are weighing up potential liability for structural works. Almost always, even if they fudge it so it's lower, almost always it's going to be more than what just fixing the house would be.
In the very latest planning application, they put the cost of the works to just above what the lowest value the council officers had come up with. So this time the value is going to be $250,000. So they were sort of snookered when the council officer came up with, well, actually the trees are worth $550,000. Sorry, guys. But it's not important anyway, they argued. Anyway, so you just have to use whatever tools you can possibly have at your disposal.
And remember also, insurers now have the main narrative they have for felling the tree is, there's less of a carbon impact when a tree is felled than if we use concrete to underpin a house. So that seems to be their main. So they're just thinking about the instant valuation side by side of using concrete as opposed to... Anyway, this is all fascinating. Thank you so much, Val. I'm going to go to Mike, who's been patiently waiting for a long time. Can you remind us of the campaign you're from? I can't remember.
Poynton Pool. It's where the council are proposing to remove a large number of trees to make changes to a reservoir embankment. So trees on the edge of a town, trees that line a thoroughfare between two towns. But yeah, the key point I was going to pick up on regarding Marion's issues is TPOs, that you can approach the Secretary of State with a request to make an order if the council won't make an order to protect the trees. So that's something we've done recently with the trees at Poynton. So we're awaiting the outcome of that at the moment.
I didn't know that. Did you, Ali? Did you know that?
There's a provision in the Town and Country Planning Act that gives the Secretary of State the power to make a preservation order.
Do you know the name of the Secretary of State, the current one?
Is it Mary?
Mary.
Mary.
The Nature Minister is Mary Creagh.
Yeah, that's right.
Creagh, but she's not the Secretary of State. I presume the Secretary of State is actually the Minister for Communities and Local Government, which is Steve Reed.
Yeah, that's right. We haven't dealt
not generally known as the most nature-friendly person.
Yeah, Steve Reed is like build, baby, build.
Yeah, we haven't dealt directly with the minister. We've done it through our local MP. Okay. So we approached the MP with it, and he then approached the minister.
Okay, well, good luck with that. I hope that works in your favour massively. I mean, TPOs, obviously, there's a whole debate about TPOs and how effective they are anyway, and that they can be revoked, etc. But it's better than nothing, isn't it?
Well, the problem that we've got at the moment is that the planning application went in or was heard at Strategic Planning Board in April 2024, and as a result of our interventions, it was deferred, and it was deferred for 5 reasons. And the council took it back to SPB in January this year, so last month. They hadn't complied with the request from SPB, and it was refused. So we've got a stay of execution.
That's great. Who at SPB?
Strategic Planning Board.
Okay.
So for larger development.
Right, they have to go through. Well, that's great that you stalled it. If you need help with your campaign or support, just what do you think others can do? Because, you know, part of our group is like trying to support other or lend, you know, on social media or...
I think we need a psychologist, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
to understand how the organisation works, how the council works and makes decisions, and how they seem to be totally reliant upon a single engineer from Jacobs, who I believe signed off some fairly erroneous reports early on, and is just now protecting his company, and he's pushing the council into a corner. It's a very, very difficult situation.
And this is which council, sorry?
Cheshire East.
Cheshire East, okay.
A very big unitary authority.
Okay. Do people mind if we have a bit of a break? I thought that the meeting was going to go on till 8:30, but if we could just have like, I just need, or I could go and have a break and you carry on talking. But I just wanted like not even 10 minutes, just a 5-minute break, just have a bit of a breather. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Then we can get back into it. I know I'm going to come back to Tamara and Ali and anyone else, but yeah, let's just have a bit of a break. I'll call you all back to the board in just under 10 minutes. Okay. Shoveling food down. I love you too. You are right. Just a lovely person. Yeah, one of the highlights in my week.
Bye, Ellie.
Bye, Marion. Really nice to see you. Thanks for
You're brilliant. Thanks
by.
for all the help.
Yeah, I think I've got a few people I need to put you in touch with, but remind me if I don't.
No, it's brilliant. Thank you very much, everybody.
Right. Speak to you soon.
Bye. God bless.
I just thought I'd quickly say hello. I know we're having a break.
Hi, Lawrence.
How are you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I am very tired.
Busy?
Busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been insane.
February, just cutting down trees all the time, is it?
Oh yeah, do you know what? I was thinking about it today. We took out three Lombardy poplars, and I was thinking about it from the perspective of an arborist and how we don't view it probably the same as a lot of other people do. We're just saying, oh, it's an energy system. We're cutting it down,
Yeah.
but we're creating wood chip and logs. The wood chip is going to create loads of nutrients for fungi and everything like that, and actually it's going to develop more life, and we're taking something out arguably sort of towards its prime or in its prime, and lo and behold the middle of these three poplars was there was just nothing there. And they were kind of like, I would class them as over mature. It was to get so that the client could get solar panels on the roof, and I was thinking like, yeah, I'm going to sleep.
The council won't. I don't think they fell trees for solar panels.
No, this is just a private dwelling.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
The trees were there planted as a windbreak, and the cottage is a couple of 100 years old, and it's just the wrong plant for the wrong place. So I was thinking, obviously not today, but at some point I'd probably like to do a 5-minute snapshot of what it's like from people who do cut timber and what the benefits are.
Yeah, I'm doing my level 4 at the moment, so
oh yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it's really interesting. But yeah, we've got like a WhatsApp chat, and sometimes they kind of go, "Well, the amenity's rubbish." I'm like, "Well, it's not just the amenity that's important, though, is it? Like, there's all the ecosystem services." So I think it's really easy to get into that headspace where it's one thing or the other, and I'm sure we're all guilty of it as well. Like, just because it's nice doesn't mean it's safe.
I think looking at sort of from a sort of almost like a spiritualist element, I'm thinking, the trees have had their life form. They're over mature. They're gonna come down anyway. That's par for the course. We're just intervening, and as a species, we've been intervening. That's what makes us human beings, because we've evolved from monkeys, and monkeys evolved from land-based mammals to climb trees. So, yeah, I'm going to put together.
That's a long view. That's a long view.
Yeah, that's what I use to justify cutting down trees.
Yeah, gosh, it must be really hard when you've got to do ones that you don't necessarily think of.
I think a lot of the time, I think there's a big conflict. I don't think I had the same viewpoint in my 20s and early 30s, and now you've got to be able to do everything in a manner that you can justify it.
Yeah. That's very human, isn't it? Just justifying. And some people are like sort of scarily good at it.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I thought it's sort of an interesting chapter in my life.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, I actually find that the term like over mature when you're talking about trees aren't in a woodland or plantation really frustrating, because very often they in tree reports it will say over mature, and it's like, well, it's not really relevant.
I think they've revised the British Standard 5837. I don't know which way it's going. That's just a terminology that I use.
You still see, isn't it, on tree reports, and it's just like that just means the growth has slowed down, which means it's not making lots more wood. Whereas actually, if it's a tree in a town, that's completely irrelevant. Yeah, don't know.
Yeah, but that does historically come from silviculture and different mentalities. But when you say over mature, I think it puts it into perspective that these trees are at the end of their life cycle, and now is the opportunity to replant.
It doesn't mean they're unsafe, but yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I mean,
I would just point out, I've seen like a lot of the trees we're dealing with are like London planes and things, and they're not at the end of their life cycle.
No, we've got one that the council wants to sell, and they said it's got 20 years left, and it's probably like 50. And you're like, it's got no sort of like clear defect. Nobody even knows how long they live. So how?
100%. I mean, I think anything with over 100 years, then you start a whole can of worms of the veterinisation and everything like that, and like what we did with our tree, where we it's acclaimed a lot of almost fame, as it were, and recognition that why couldn't it be a veteran? It doesn't have to be because of age. It can be because of cultural significance. So
yeah, and unless we protect the ones that are sort of middle age, we'll never get any old ones.
correct, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, where we are in Southend, they've taken a load of planes out to facilitate a road development. They've also pollarded a couple. Yeah, it's interesting times.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's getting a bit better?
I think there is going to be accountability, and I think in our borough, we've noticed that they've retained a mature tree and they've moved the path around it.
That's good.
So there are wins out there, and I think unfortunately it's a lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
It just really is. The people in the councils, I don't want to bring up white webs again, but there was some kind of health and safety person that has deemed the tree unsafe, that has then gone through chain and chain and chain and chain to essentially work being done. And it's the people further up the chain that need to be accountable and need to sort of have more education. And how do you go about doing that? Well, in the press, groups like this, bits and pieces.
Yeah, I often think like local councillors could really sing a bit more about like the importance of trees and the value of trees and things like that. You know how when we were growing up, there would be like campaigns about things that were good for you rather than just things that you could buy.
Yeah.
We don't get that anymore. I mean, all we hear from our councillors on social media is like people moaning that there's epidemic growth and leaves everywhere and stuff. It's just moaning all the time.
Yeah. And also they just bang on about new planting and like there's so many. I want to write an article about van strikes and lorries that strike trees. That happens all the time around my area, that vans and lorries and HGVs going into trees and then end up killing them because they have a wound and then they get diseased and then they're going to decline. Happens loads in London. And just like, I think that's so true, like campaigns to say how amazing our mature trees are. What are the benefits of a mature tree? A lot of people just wouldn't know. They think, oh, a tree's got a bit old, let's chop it down. It looks a bit wrecked. They don't actually understand that an old tree, a mature tree, has loads of benefits. Do people want to come back to the screen? Because we're going to sort of start again for the last bit of time, last 20 minutes or so. Ali, Tamara, did you want to I know that not to put you on the spot, but Aviva. I'm going to ask you a question about Aviva tomorrow. You work for the Woodland Trust. I respect you. And thank you so much for coming to these meetings every month. But it's a tricky subject for some of us tree campaigners, and because obviously the tree that we would try to save with Haringey Tree Protectors for a few years, one of the insurers was Aviva, and Aviva's come up a couple of times. And I know they're a partner of the Woodland Trust and they do planting schemes and stuff. And I wonder how, you don't have to answer, you're not the, it's not necessarily something you arrange with Aviva, but is it a bit tricky and sticky to be partnering with some of the companies that like I know with wildlife, the London Wildlife Trust also works with like companies like Aviva and Network Rail who just decimate the sidings, for little projects they want to do. But how does that work? Like, how is that managed, that kind of difficulty of working with someone, partnering with someone who might be giving you sponsorship or money when you know that they're involved in house insurance claims and other, is that something you're...
Yeah, it's a continual discussion, kind of working relationship. There is a lot of stickiness involved in all of it. We have a partnership risk committee. There's a whole process and it's a continuing thing. It's not simple. We know Aviva is, hugely problematic in its own ways, at least, so how do I phrase this? We know there are issues with all of the big insurance companies. We know subsidence is increasingly an issue. Specifically within the campaigns team, I've got a colleague who is very passionately working directly with Aviva. She's actively having meetings with them, going, hey, look, this is a problem. And it's, increasingly seen as a reputational risk. We need to talk about this. And that is a very live discussion that's ongoing. The general hope or position would be perhaps best phrased in something like, we hope that by maintaining a relationship with them, we can do some of the inside track, kind of behind the curtain advocacy and kind of steering and have some kind of influence on the inside of things that an external pressure group who didn't have that relationship would struggle to have. So that's kind of part of the reasoning behind kind of where thought processes are. But yes, so it's a.
I wonder how
for this
much,
group particularly, there's no point saying, "Oh, everything's perfect and rosy," because it's not.
Yeah, and I
I'm not
really
gonna,
don't. I really did not. I did not want to make you uncomfortable, put you on the spot. It's just something I've been mulling over a few years with different organisations, not just Woodland Trust, but partnering with these.
It's hard.
It's a bit like the Tree Trust partnering with Network Rail or being their critical friend. We had a lot of issues with them in the past, and yet they do loads of really good work with the Ancient Tree Forum, and they do. So it's like this kind of difficult.
It's a constant back and forth, and you can view it from many different angles, and it's trying to move everyone in the same direction while everyone's pulling in different directions. It's not easy. It's a constant discussion, and none of it is taken lightly.
No, not at all. So something I wanted to, before you perhaps want to say something, we had a little committee meeting, which is a rarity for us. We need to have more of them. It was very great and it was very fun. But we were talking about, I've always wanted Canopy to have a wider remit, a wider aim, a sort of structural, almost like, trying to shift the kind of structural position of things for trees a little bit more. That was always something we wanted to try and start lobbying at a higher level, or get something shifted even with the protections for trees, like reinstating that article I was talking about earlier that somehow has been elided from kind of protections for trees, protecting councils. So we're thinking about bigger sort of policy shifts or ideas. And maybe Vasily could come in here, because we were talking about the group, the committee on all party. Would you want to come in here?
We had a brief chat about the all party parliamentary group on trees and woodlands, which the Woodland Trust provides the secretariat for, and we'd like to find a way of Canopy basically coming in to introduce ourselves to that parliamentary group, and at this stage probably just mention one key issue, which is the duty to consult and how that's being implemented or not implemented, and whether there needs to be some clarification at a parliamentary level. I know it's a very modest request when there are so many really big things that could be done, but we thought it was potentially a relatively straightforward thing to mention.
What I can do is talk to the government affairs team, who I work closely with and who hold that responsibility. They've recently had a new member in post, which means they have more capacity than they did last time I made the kind of query about external groups like Canopy, and if there was capacity for attendance at the APPG. I can restart those discussions and see where I get this time.
Yeah, that would be great. And so presumably we'd have to go, rather than contact there's an email, wasn't there, Vasily? I don't know if you
the email, we could just send them an email, and in fact I probably should have already done it after our committee meeting, and and copy you in and just see where that takes us?
Yeah, that would that be, I mean, and also Catherine West, my MP, was an officer in that. I think she chaired it for a bit, Catherine West. So I could also, that's something that I was supposed to do as well, get in contact with Catherine. I know she's no longer a part of it, but just to maybe get a kind of like if she has any insights about how best to contact. I mean, in a way, it would be good to have the chair's name, or just, I mean, we could just contact them independently, but as the Woodland Trust is so, it's your thing, it would seem natural for us to have a kind of
Yeah,
invitation.
I mean, I think if we do contact them, it will come straight to the Woodland Trust, who are the secretariat.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, okay. Well, maybe we'll be in touch with you tomorrow, and yeah, you could ask your colleagues. I think if there's someone specifically we should be getting in touch with on that team, maybe we could. Is there
I'll
anything?
check around.
Yeah.
I'll check around and see who would be best.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks. Tamara, did you want to mention any sort of Woodland Trust kind of project?
Yeah, I can do. There's some positive updates. I haven't been to the last few. I think I've been ill or away. So forgive me if I'm repeating what this group already knows. But for anyone who's brand new, Living Legends is our long-running, large-scale campaign to secure legal protection for our oldest and most special trees. I will pop a link to that campaign more generally in the chat. It's been ongoing for a number of years, and there was a petition submitted to Westminster with over 100,000 signatures on, which is, for anyone's interest, one of the best performing environmentally focused campaigns ever to be on record. So that's a huge indication of how many people want this legal protection, because things like the recipe for Stilton cheese or Irish whiskey or stout, I think it is, and Stonehenge are all legally protected entities. We have trees as old as Stonehenge, which are not legally protected. And we, the Woodland Trust, along with pretty much, I'm going to assume, everybody in this room, thinks that's a disastrous state of affairs. So the next kind of most active update for that campaign that's on running is that today is the last day for signatures on a new petition to the government, which is asking for 3 specific things, which are an amendment to, where's it gone? An amendment to the Forestry Act, but more specifically, the 3 things it's asking for is a heritage trees list, which is a legally protected list of our most special trees, and then an amendment for felling licenses for ancient trees, just to make it harder to get a license to fell, and to make sure that those licenses are properly applied. And then we'd like them also, as point 3, to commit to an action plan for tree protection that was recommended by the Tree Council and has so far been non-progressed. So that's the kind of technicalities behind the current petition. Excitingly, which is the good news to kind of hold on to, we have passed 10,000 signatures within the allotted time on the government website, which means the government is legally required to provide us with an official response, which is exciting because that gives us something with which we can do further advocacy. Depending on what that response is, obviously will impact on where exactly we go and what exactly we do with it. But it will be exciting to see what that response is, and we'll keep the debate ongoing surrounding things like the Heritage Trees Bill, which is still actively in the zeitgeist. While I don't think it's active in Parliament, that's the hey, please make a list of protected trees, essentially, that Paul Poundsland was thoroughly involved with and who we cannot speak highly enough of. So that's the major update from me. Happy to take questions, but the good news is we've got enough signatures for an official response, so a bit of positivity to end on there.
That's great. The bill, yeah, Paul, did you want to say anything? Or no? Yes. I can't see whether you do or not.
I was just about to come in with a slight thing
Oh, your
of
Wi-Fi's,
saying,
Paul, your Wi-Fi's really
hello,
slow.
can you hear me?
I think it's
Can you hear
really
me?
bad. You sound like you're in space or on another
No?
planet or something. Try it. Maybe turn off your visual, your film, and I'm trying to say your camera. Paul, try again, maybe.
I'll try that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, just about.
Just about?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I was going to say thank you for speaking very highly of
Oh,
me at the end
oh no.
there, 'cause I
Oh
was
no,
about to
Paul.
come in with sort of bit of a point of
Paul, your Wi-Fi's really bad again, your signal. You sound like a bit chewing gummy. I think we're going to have to come back to you. I'm sorry. Maybe put what you want to say in the chat. Sorry. I'm really interested in. Sorry, it's getting late, isn't it?
Yeah, Paul, you sound like you're talking to us from the bottom of the river Roding.
I should be used to like funny voices on like Zooms by now. It's been a long time we've all been on Zoom, but for some reason that was very funny. Um, I I'm interested in this bill because it was so successful because it managed to be selected and it was like it's almost like, I don't know if you know, I didn't know how bills are chosen, but they're like almost like it's like a bingo ball
Yeah,
thing.
it's a bit like, yeah, it was great that it even got as far as it did.
Amazing.
There's a similar one, a very similar one. I'm just about to start a very exciting journey through the Northern Irish. I'm not going to say Parliament because that's not the word. The decision-making body for Northern Ireland that my brain is blanking on because I have a major headache.
Oh,
There's a similar bill that's about to make the same journey through Northern Ireland and is looking fairly promising in terms of at least getting quite far through that process. And that will be majorly exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as if that were to become law, any campaigner can point at that and go, hey, this isn't revolutionary. We just want to do what Northern Ireland's done. It makes the whole process easier for everyone else. So that's also the other side of the campaign update is that Northern Ireland is looking, we don't know where that's going to go, but it's looking exciting.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, I'm sorry you've got a headache. Is it a migraine? Because if it is, you should go and rest yourself in a
It's
dark
not
room.
quite. I'm drugged up on Lemsip and all the rest of it. I'll survive. But yeah.
Poor thing. And bills, as far as I know, can take ages to rumble through. It's like
Ages and
glacial.
ages. It depends. When there's political pressure behind it, they can go really quickly, like the planning and infrastructure bill, and it's a major thing that happens really, really quickly. Other times, every single step is a fight and it takes ages.
It's like unbelievable. Thank you so much for those updates. And so, Ali, does anyone else, Rena, have you spoken, Rena? You spoke, didn't you? You've still got your hand up. Ali,
No, I didn't. No, I replied to someone else.
Sorry, Rena. And then Ali.
Well, it depends. Ali, were you going to read what Kat had written?
No, well, I've got an update from me. So she just gave me, I'm not going to read everything she said, but I did a bullet point if you want. So it's all good news, I think, largely. So you're still waiting to hear on the judicial review situation. That's what she said. So the fundraiser's going well. The car park's been resurfaced and the tree seems to be fine. There's 2 affected properties. The subsidence situation. One of them has said they don't want the tree found or they would like it to be underpinned. So that's excellent to have their support.
To the point they've even taken that to the newspapers.
Oh, wow, that's really good. And because you've got the injunction, which is really exciting, the council who had originally planned to fell the tree by the end of February are probably looking like they're not going to be able to. So
they actually had it booked for the 5th of January.
Oh, did they? Oh, wow. I mean,
what we can gather from the timeline was 5th of January, car park was already fenced off by then in December. 5th of January, car park was going to be closed, felled, and then the car park resurfaced.
Okay. So they've resurfaced the car park, trees still where it is.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of debate. They managed to keep the car park closed for a whole week, doing absolutely nothing, which was really, really kind to the shop owners in the middle, at the beginning of January when they're struggling. So again, a really lovely divisive act. Said they couldn't do it any other way because of having to give notice and all sorts of other reasons that seem very insignificant, considering all the stuff that they did last year. But I will say, as one of the people that had been one of the protectors, I am jolly glad that it was a year ago we were sat under the tree and not this year. This year, we still were protecting it at the beginning of January. There was a few of us that were there on the 5th because the council offices weren't open until the 5th, and the injunction came in between Christmas and New Year.
Great. Oh, it's such good news.
And no information of, yes, we've got it, or nothing, just silent. So it was like, are they just going to still go ahead and chop the tree and go, oh, we didn't know? But they didn't. It was all fine. But it was -5 degrees that night. That was fun.
So this year you would have just got very wet instead of very cold.
So wet. Yeah.
Both. I mean, last year was actually quite dry and
Cold.
mild compared to this year.
Yeah, it's a worrying spring. If we're going to have another wet spring, it's very, very bad for lots of insect species, isn't it? I think, as far as I know.
Yeah, but it's been, I mean, we've had a very, very dry summer last year, followed by a very wet. And of course, the car park has been resurfaced, but it's been resurfaced just with a layer of tarmac, which is like, oh, really? Okay.
Oh yeah, tree of the. Oh, sorry, I'm just reading the chat about Tree of the Year. Is that the Tree of the Year competition?
European Tree of the Year.
Are we a European Tree of the Year?
Yeah, because the one in Glasgow won the UK Tree of the Year, didn't it? The ash.
The one in the front garden, that mad one.
It's great.
It's an incredible photo. Yeah. And it's the only one on the street, isn't it? It's like
it's nicknamed the only ash on Argyle, the only tree on Argyle. It's great. And every year, the UK winner becomes the entrance for the European Tree of the Year.
That's brilliant.
We've never won the European Tree of the Year yet, I don't think.
Well, let's all vote for this ash.
But maybe it's this year.
Yeah. And I think it's so, I love, because occasionally in London, you do see an enormous tree growing out of someone's front garden. And it's so satisfying to see. It looks great, it looks really, and you just hope that's going to protect that tree. So Ali, we come to another bit of good news. This is all good news at the moment, right? We've got to cling on to
I don't know. I do remember last February just despairing. I don't know what it's like round your way, but it felt like just before the beginning of March, bird nesting, just trees and bushes were vanishing everywhere. And I remember thinking, I'm going on holiday for all of February next year, and I've forgotten. So I'm here ready to witness it again. But yeah, we do have some good news. But first of all, does anyone know anything about laburnums?
Laburnum, they're not supposed to be incredibly good for biodiversity, although they have nesting habitat potential, and some insects and birds do like them. That's as far as I know.
Our accounts have decided that there's 3 laburnum on Armada Way, which is the road where they came down in the night and cut everything down. And after that, they said they would keep everything. But now they've decided that these 3 laburnums, which they are next to a play park, the play park wasn't going to be there, but they've decided to put the play park next to the laburnums. And they said they've got to cut them down because they're really toxic and children will definitely eat them. And I have found it really hard to find any actual concrete evidence that there's been any actual cases of people getting ill from eating them. I mean, they probably taste gross, so I doubt anyone would eat loads of them anyway. But if anyone knows anything about laburnums, please can you let me know? That wasn't my update.
I'm pretty sure they're non-native, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, probably lots of trees.
I have a thing against non-natives in general, and we should be chopping more of them down to put native plants in. So if they're going to replant with natives,
suggesting that they would be replaced.
Oh, that's the bad bit.
The council have said they're doing a consultation because they're on Armada Way. Presumably they've got to do their duty to consult, bloody bloody. But they've already planted the mitigation, which makes you wonder whether they're going to take the consultation seriously.
Yeah, that's quite funny.
So either whether they keep them or not, they have already planted some new trees, which is good. But it's just
they're non-native.
They won't be planting anything where they currently are.
Right.
I just didn't know if anyone had any information about.
I just looked up AI.
Yeah, well, the internet will tell you that they're poisonous, but if you sort of dig around,
the golden chain trees offer specific biodiversity benefits, primarily as a nectar source for pollinators, despite being non-native European, highly poisonous species in many regions. But I mean, that they're nice trees, aren't they? They're mature.
I mean, these particular ones are extremely wonky, and I think that's probably why people get rid of them, because they've got their snazzy new design, and it's not very matchy. But anyway, I just wondered if anyone knew anything specific, but that's fine. But the good news that I've got,
I was thinking this isn't the good news. This is the good news.
The good news is that, well, just before Christmas, the council announced, as a condition of a planning permission, which they granted to install a new sports facility, they were going to install 2 new zebra crossings and some speed bumps on a road nearby. And it's great because it's going to improve road safety and all this, that, and the other. But unfortunately, forgeries have to be felled in the process. And there was almost no information on why. And I went down to look, and you sort of think, I don't really understand why they can't just work around the trees. And then you have a councillor at a council meeting basically implying, how they imply in a way that makes it sound like it.
You've gone, Ali, you've gone like you're underwater now. Where have you gone? Your voice is gone. Your audio.
Can you hear me now?
You're really...
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe I have my hand over the... and so a councillor was saying, well, there's been some fatal accidents on this road, and I can't really see how we can keep the trees. And as you always have to do, you've got to do all the legwork, don't you? So I looked into it, and neither of the fatal accidents had a blind thing to do with the trees. One was basically as a result of someone who'd been driving all night. They were off their face. They'd gone through a stoplight, and they killed a motorcyclist, and he went to prison. So, really, genuinely nothing to do with the trees. Back and forth with the council traffic officers, who told me much more information than that they'd made publicly available. Basically, what I'm trying to say is they thought, well, some of them told me that they were exempt from the duty to consult, and some told me that they were doing it perfectly well, and neither of which were true. So we, clubbed together and got good old Alice and Susan to write them a letter. And we found out yesterday that they have decided to take another look at the design. We think they're probably going to be able to keep 3 of them, and they're going to reconsult. So
that's great.
Yeah.
And the trees they're quite big. What species are they? They're
one London plane, which is absolutely nowhere near one of the crossings. It's completely bonkers. It's not even the nearest tree to the crossing. One of the other 3 are lime trees, and they're not like the best trees in the world, but they're right. They're fine. And yeah, so one of them is obviously in the way where the zebra crossing can go, but the 2 limes that are a pair and the London plane, when you actually dug into what their reasons were, it was basically because they were blocking light. They said they would block light, which they need to illuminate the new crossings. But I went to look at them, and the London plane has got a street light under it, and the light is right in the middle of Canopy. So presumably that's the issue. But if you look at the guidance on street, the BS guidance on street lighting, it says if you want to install new crossings and there's existing trees, you just put in shorter streetlights. Except they'd sort of left that out of all, this slightly peculiar back and forth I had with the traffic officer. So hopefully, we'll just put in new lights.
So,
it's we optimistic that they'll be able to save 3 of them. So, but it's frustrating that we've all got to basically pay for lawyers to get them to listen to us when I've already written to them and told them that their consultation was unlawful. But this is, I guess, why always quite like to go down the legal side, because Plymouth, I know all councils are different, but Plymouth don't listen. They don't appear to listen to anything we say, because anybody outside of the council is an idiot, apparently.
The thing is, so much is done through complacency, laziness, a sort of weird obsession about clearing an area. I mean, why did anyone to do building structures seems to have to have an enormous area cleared? They could even contemplate like laying sort of structure down. I just don't get this. What is this by, clear the space? We're very important. We're engineers, we're developers, we're mostly men. Sorry to be gender specific, but it's like, what is that psychology? I really want to get inside and find out what is that neurosis about any kind of like natural form near a structure. It's like they're so scared, and really progressive societies and cultures hundreds of years ago would build around. Think how in Japan they like delicately excavate an enormous old ancient tree and move it on a bloody lorry, or when they want to build, why aren't we more intelligent with our planning and our it drives me insane. It's like
it probably just needs a couple of new streetlights installed, and they could easily save 3 of the 4 trees.
Yeah, sometimes I just think it's a bloke in a room with like a big belly going, nah, that'll be too much work. Just like, I can imagine the person making that decision. Sorry, I think that's brilliant. Although you had to spend money and you had to pay and it was a lot of legwork, but holding our local authorities to account is so important, even on the seemingly smaller things.
Well, with this one, because we really thought that if we let them because this is sort of the first, they called it their pilot, the pilot of their new. It's like, well, if this is the pilot, then we're buggered. But basically, we just thought if we let them get away with this one, then they'll just be rubbish forever. So we sort of, although, we really wanted to save the trees, we felt like this was
test case.
More than that, yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you've got to do the small stuff to get the bigger result. You have to sort of, and then it will scale up to bigger plans.
Yeah.
Right, we are running over time. So Colette, sorry, because I've been drawing, but Colette, do you want to just come in quickly, and then we should end the meeting because we have to eat and stuff.
Sure. Thank you very much. I just want to bring your attention to something I put in the chat in case people haven't seen it. I don't want to end on a negative note, but we do have to watch out for this. Waitman Solicitors, they're a firm that operate exclusively on behalf of councils who are being taken to court. So they won't act on my behalf, but they'll act on the council's behalf. And they've just published the first of 2 articles talking about tree root subsidence and introduction to subsidence and mitigation. And essentially what the article says is to councils, the cost of underpinning is far greater than the environmental value of a tree, so always cut down the tree in a subsidence situation. And that's what this article published on the 23rd of January this year says. So watch out for that, because this is going to be informing local councils of how to take things forward. And it's completely wrong as advice, but just watch out for that. And I'm going to write to Waitman Solicitors. Yes.
Share the article, or did you already do that?
I put it in the chat already, but that's why I thought I'd brought it to your attention to say, go and have a look at the link that I've put on there. I can repost it again if you like.
Yeah, I can't find it in there. But presumably they're not the only solicitors in the whole of England that are advising councils, are they?
Well, another one is Bevan Britton, who advise councils. I'm starting to come across, because I'm trying to get some legal advice for a JR I want to take against my local council. And I've been doing some searching for legal firms, and some of them exclusively represent councils and won't deal with anyone else, and some do both. But I just thought I'd bring that to your attention, because we need to nip that in the bud, so to speak, if you don't mind the expression, and get them to put that right before too many councils take note of it and think, oh, right, that's what we need to do when we've got a subsidence problem.
Yeah. Colette, are you in the WhatsApp group for the subsidence?
I'm not. Can you send me the link to it, please, so I can join it?
We have to have your number. You'd have to send us
your phone number. Yeah. I'll pop you in.
Yeah.
Okay. Put your email down, Ali, and then I've got your email on the. Yeah, I'll reply to the thing and I'll send it to you. Yeah. Thank you. Cheers. Thank you, and thank you very much, all of you, and thank you, Paul, for being on. I appreciate that.
No worries. And I will. Yeah. So our next meeting is going to be on March the. Do we know? Hang on. March the 3rd. Tuesday, March the 3rd. Okay. So put that in your diaries as a hot date on Zoom. And right, so great meeting, and yeah, I may get someone in for our next meeting, hopefully that lawyer, if I speak to Lawrence or Katie. And yeah, thanks a lot. We've gone a bit over, but thanks for coming along, appreciate it, and we'll send out the recording.
Maybe somebody from Waitman's might like to come and speak to Canopy. That could be fun.
That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
Sometimes it's good to have someone, you know, on their side, like, so we understand how the mind is working there.
Give them a chance to do a presentation so that we can understand better their thinking.
Yeah. Sometimes you learn quite a lot, from doing something like that.
Yeah, while you were out, Lawrence has offered to do a brief talk on
Yes, I have.
the mind of an arborist.
The mind of an arborist. You're going to write a novel, a memoir.
I don't think that's
Something like that, yeah.
That's
Modern arboriculture from a cutting perspective.
Oh my God. Oh, can we bear it? Can we bear hearing about cutting?
As long as there's no sound effects.
Yeah, like a chainsaw. I've got an allergy to chainsaw, the noise of one.
Me too.
Okay, well, look, that's a definite. I think it's good to hear from people working in the industry as well. We'll get all perspectives in this group. So yeah, thanks very much, everyone, and have a lovely evening the rest of your week, and we'll be in touch soon. Yeah. Okay, take care.
Thanks, DA. Bye.